Domain and range is all about figuring out the window where the graph exists. Like how much can you cover up before you actually start covering the lines of the graph. So I just made this little piece of paper where you can cover things up from the sides to get domain, and then you can cover up from the top and bottom to get what your range is. So I have an example graph, this oval. I'm going to put it right in the middle here. How much can I cover up without actually covering the lines? So you can see right here, it goes from about on the left over here at -1. It's 1 away from the axis. So it goes from -1, the domain, to on the other side 3. Because if you look at it, it goes from the axis 1, 2, 3. So the domain goes from -1 to 3. So I've written it out. It would look just like that is how you're going to write your domain, from -1 to 3. -1 less than or equal to x, less than or equal to 3. We're going to do the same thing for the range. So range, you always start from the negative side. How much can we cover up without actually covering up the lines? So for this one, it looks like we start down at -2, just 2 below the axis. Start at -2 and we go all the way up to, how far is that? I think it's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I believe so, 7. So from -2 to 7 is our range. So I wrote that down also. -2 to 7. But it's very important that you write y instead of x. The range is y's, domain is x's. Let's try another example. If I have this line with 2 different endpoints here, let's see, we're starting from, yes, okay. How much can I cover up of this graph before I start covering up actual lines? So this one, it's got an open circle endpoint and a closed circle endpoint. You're going to start from about -4, it looks like, because we're over on the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, -4 to 1, because it's over 1. So my domain goes from -4 to 1. So, and because of that open circle endpoint, it won't have the or equal to line. So we are looking at -4 to 1, and on the -4 side, it's just the less than, but no or equal to. All right, same thing for range. We start from the bottom. Range looks like it starts at negative, it's down about 3 and goes up to 2. So it's going to be -3 is less than or equal to y is less than 2. And since it's an open circle again right here, it's just going to be a less than, no or equal to. So we would write our domain and range for that just like this. Domain is x's, range is y's. Let's try one more example. Okay, so sometimes you can't cover up the graph. So for this one, we're starting with our domain. How much can you cover without actually covering lines of the graph? Okay, domain here clearly starts from -1 to 3, -3, and the range, still domain, goes from -3 to, what is that, 4, 4.5, 5? Wrong. You can't put the paper like this because that arrow means it continues forever and ever and ever, and anywhere I put the paper, I would be covering up a place where that arrow is headed. So we can't cover that up at all. It just goes all the way to positive infinity, plus sign infinity. So domain -3, less than or equal to x, less than positive infinity. And when it's infinity, you never put the or equal to. So the infinity doesn't have that, it's just the less than. Okay, so we had infinity. Now let's go the other way and look at range. So we go from the negative side at the bottom. So range starts down, it starts 3 down. So range is -3 is less than or equal to y is less than Now up here, see the arrow? The arrow's going sideways, so it's not gonna go up at all. The sideways arrow doesn't affect going up for the range, so I can just say it's exactly 4. Range starts at -3 and goes up to 4. If the arrow was pointing up, it would be different. So range is -3 less than or equal to y less than or equal to 4. And I wrote that down. You would write it exactly like this. Let's try one more that has more infinity happening. Okay, so we are in the direction negative, positive. Okay. So domain, we get started. What can you cover up? Nothing, because an arrow goes to infinity. So this is going to go from negative infinity, because that line will go to the left forever, negative infinity. There's an arrow on that end also, so all the way to positive infinity. Domain is negative infinity less than x less than positive infinity. Let's try range. So range, you start down at the bottom, and you can't fold this paper up because the arrows keeps going down. You don't want to cover up where the arrow is going. So range starts from negative infinity and goes up to, here's another arrow that's going to go forever. So up to positive infinity. This one, it goes from negative infinity to positive infinity for both the domain and the range.